As you probably know, I like Pokemon. But just because I like something doesn't mean I can't complain about it. I am the king of complaining, so today's problem is legendary Pokemon, and boy, do I have some shit to say. The gloves are off, boys. I'm holding nothing back. Let's start at the start. Generation 1. There are 5 legendary Pokemon: Articuno, Zapdos, and Moltres, Mewtwo, and Mew. Quite a good gang if you ask me. The elemental birds are said to keep nature in balance. Cool. That's a nice concept, and I'm glad it was done here in a civil, reasonable way.
Sometimes foreshadowing is relatively obvious.
As for Mewtwo and Mew, they're cool. Everyone likes Mewtwo, and the people who don't just think he's overrated. Honestly, I'd be lying if I said he wasn't overrated, but he is cool. So, it is what it is.
It is what it is!
And for the elusive Mew, why do I keep calling him elusive? Well, because he was. Mew isn't even legitimately obtainable in the original games. He's in the games, you just can't have him. Unless you use Strength on a truck. Overall, good legendaries. Fitting of the title. They truly are legends. You may be asking, Sentry, you said we're going to complain! Where's the complaining, Sentry? You idiot, you fool! I hear you, and I understand, which is why I'm here to say that by the very second generation, they fuck up the entire legendary concept. In this generation, the legendaries are Ho-Oh, Lugia, Suicune, Raikou, Entei, and Celebi. But kind of forget about Celebi, he's not really that important. These Pokemon bring the total up to 11. I won't bring up the total number of legendary Pokemon after this, because it really isn't that important to me. But here, you may ask, why these fuck up the legendary Pokemon order? Well, buckle in. First off, Ho-Oh and Lugia are the box legendaries, correct? Of course I'm correct. And the trio is Suicune, Raikou, and Entei. Valid? Yeah, valid? Right?
Wrong!
Suicune is a box legendary. What? But wait, there's more. Lugia is the trio master of the elemental birds, and Ho-Oh is the master of the dogs, right? But Suicune is also the master of Ho-Oh and Lugia? What the fuck? If you've been following along, this should be dolphin fucking nonsense to you. And if you know all this shit already, you probably agree with me that this is undeniably dolphin fucking nonsense. But let's talk lore for a second. Ho-Oh and Lugia roost at the Tin Tower and Burned Tower. You know, I think Ho-Oh just really fucking hates Lugia. Let me tell you what happened.
Here's a step-by-step guide to becoming a
Suicune, Raikou, and Entei.
Step 1. Die.
Lugia's tower was burnt down by a mysterious fire. Maybe a sacred fire? Lightning struck the tower, it burned down, and rain put it out. However, there were casualties. 3 unspecified dog Pokemon were killed trying to save people from the fire. Let us take a moment of silence to mourn the loss of these canines. But not too long a moment, because Ho-Oh himself descended from the skies to resurrect the heroes in Lugia's tower. And he even gives them cool reasons for being their types. Electric for the lightning that struck out the tower, fire for the flame that burnt it down, and water for the rain that put it out. Which is dumb, but I'll get to it later. So Ho-Oh just rolls up in Lugia's house and shows off his life-giving abilities. Asshole. And now Lugia's homeless. Poor guy. Now he just sits at the bottom of the ocean and cries. Underwater. And what's worse, he's not even water type. He doesn't even get the advantage on Ho-Oh 1v1. Don't tell me even for a second that they did this to make sure that one wouldn't beat the other. I'll get to that later, too. Meanwhile, remember what I said earlier? The thing I'll also get to later? Yeah. Later's now. Suicune should not be water type. He's the northern wind, a very cold, icy thing. The only thing in his origins that points to water is rain. True bro momento right there.
Un bro momento. Un bro. Un bro.
Generation 3. Last time on Legendaries Kinda Suck, TBH. We determined that Gen 2 ruined the legendary Pokemon. Will the third generation repent for Gen 2's sins? Will Hoenn No, I'm gonna tell you right here, it doesn't. So who are our legendaries this gen? Groudon, Kyogre, Rayquaza, Regirock, Regice, Registeel, Deoxys, Latios, Latias, and Jirachi. But like half of those guys don't even matter, so forget about them for now. Groudon and Kyogre at first seemed like a pretty good duo. But Groudon is ground type, and Kyogre is water type, meaning Groudon sucks against Kyogre. Not only that, but in Pokemon Emerald, when they're both awakened, Kyogre gets the whole ocean and rain on his side, and Groudon is on just the tiniest island. That's so unfair, but not entirely inaccurate visual symbolism. Remember how the Gen 2 legendaries supposedly avoided this? Well, we're back, baby. And yeah, no, Game Freak doesn't give a shit about type mashups, so Groudon gets shafted into oblivion. These guys keep nature in balance, but they themselves are not balanced. Congratulations! Congratulations! As for the other guys, they're pretty cool and good. Generation 4, the good one. Yes, for the most part, the legendary Pokemon in this generation are pretty tight. They make sense. For the most part. Giratina, you son of a bitch. Giratina is gravity, and nobody can convince me otherwise. In canon, he's antimatter. That just doesn't add up. It's pretty well known that when antimatter comes into contact with, normal matter, they cancel each other out.
When a particle and antiparticle meet, they annihilate and destroy each other.
But Cynthia and Cyrus can just prance around the distortion world like it's nothing. Not only that, but look at all this.
2,000 years later. One eternity later.
So much later that the old narrator got tired of waiting and they had to hire a new.
Giratina having gravity-based powers explains all of it. In fact, let's go even further and get scientifical here. Giratina is the middle legendary of Dialga and Palkia, time and space. And in the real world, gravity affects both of those. Space, very obviously, but time? Yes, actually, gravity does slightly distort time. This makes gravity essentially the conjunction of both space and time. So why is he not gravity? You can't even say that it's because kids wouldn't understand, because kids would understand. Most kids haven't even seen antimatter. I haven't seen antimatter, but everyone knows gravity. Unlike antimatter, gravity is something that we are subjected to every moment of every day of our lives. It's a fundamental truth, an assumed variable. But whatever. Antimatter works, I guess. Even though it doesn't on every level. Generation 5 is much like Gen 4 in the sense that this is after they really started caring about legendaries, but I can complain about anything, so let's take an unreasonably close look at these Pokemon. A long time ago, there were two princes and an original dragon. After a while, these princes became kings, but they couldn't decide on how to rule their kingdom. One wanted to usher in a new and better world, and the other wanted to usher in a new world of good. Is it just me, or do these sound like they wanted the exact same thing? But whatever, truth and ideals or something. Continuing, the king's values split the dragon into Reshiram, Zekrom, and Kyurem is left over. They eventually put aside their differences, and there is peace. Until their children use the two dragons to destroy the whole region, but it's okay because they just rebuilt it anyways? Why? They just destroyed the entire region, but it doesn't even matter because they just rebuild it right afterwards. Imagine if in Evangelion, after the third impact, they just rebuilt everything. Oh. Seriously, bro, why did they destroy the region? Or why did they rebuild it right after? It didn't change anything, it made no difference. You could take that out of the lore and it would make absolutely no difference. Nothing would change. These are the basic rules of writing. Why did you put it in the story if it didn't matter? I'm so confused. Oh yeah, also the Cloud guys suck.
Boy!
Did you know that the 6th generation of Pokemon is the first bad one? Plain truth over here, kiddos. These games are factually bad. But more importantly to today's subject, Zygarde is factually bad. In Gen 6.
Sometimes foreshadowing.
But Diancie, I bet, just hearing the name, you know what I'm about to say. Diancie doesn't evolve from Carbink. Now, I've spoken before on this channel about how dumb I was during Gen 6.
I'm still waiting for Pokemon Z to release, Game Freak.
But I legit thought that Diancie evolved from Carbink. I caught a Carbink, and I did everything I could think of to level it up. I used stones, I trained it to level 100, I traded it holding every item in my inventory, I even did the Inkay thing. I tried everything, only to later find out that Carbink doesn't even evolve. You don't want to know how long it took me to find that out. So yeah, Diancie sucks because of my own stupidity. Generation 7 actually ranks pretty high for me, but if you've been a subscriber for a while, you already knew that. I don't have much to say about the Gen 7 legendaries. This is well after Gen 4 where they started actually caring about Pokemon. But remember how I said Zygarde? It's Zygarde. We're back, baby. So Zygarde gets shafted into the Shadow Realm in Gen 6, but Game Freak realized that they made a mistake. So now, Zygarde has 2 other forms, depending on how many cells it has. Cool idea. I wish it was an X and Y. Seriously, Game Freak. Too little, too late. Emphasis on the too late part. As for Gen 8, I already made a video on Eternatus, so if you could go watch that, I'd be mad happy, dog.